There are 4,218 PS2 games, and I'm beating every one of them. I've got to own the game because I'm playing everything on the original hardware, but I've beefed it up with a RetroTink 5X, some component cables, and more to come soon. Can I do this before I die of old age? I hope so. Katamari Damacy was developed by Namco and released in the US September of 2004. Kita Takahashi had to fight for his initial idea of Katamari Damacy when he pitched it to Namco. Eventually making the game with the help of students and even Namco employees about to be laid off, the game was a hit. Sitting at a Metacritic score of 86 out of 100, can I beat this quirky, ball-rolling game? Katamari Damacy is definitely a very loved title by many, and it is also considered a cult classic, and it spawned a lot of games after the fact, and I'm glad it did because what a weird little game. So let's go ahead and go over the journey real quick. It's a pretty simple game, so there won't be much here, so don't expect a huge long video. Instead, let's go ahead and start with the story. Your father, the king of all the cosmos, in a drunken, stupor, destroys everything, except for Earth. And when I mean everything, I mean all the stars, even the moon, are destroyed. And he feels kind of bad about it, but he's not willing to fix it himself. Instead, he has me, his son, the prince, go down with something called a Katamari, this little purple ball here. Anything smaller than the ball, you can roll up, and every so often your ball will increase in size so you can pick up bigger things. The idea is that when you pick up items from Earth, you then attach it to the Katamari and turn it into a star. That is, as long as you get it to be the size it needs to be for that star to be complete. Your father will tell you at the beginning of each mission how big it needs to be, and then your goal is to roll around, picking those things up off the ground, all over the place, until it is big enough to actually use as a star. At the beginning here, we have a quick tutorial. This is pretty much it. There are almost no controls to this game. You use the analog sticks to roll the ball around. You can shift your position. You can roll faster, forward. You can use the left and right stick to move forward and back to turn the ball slightly. You've got a lot of control over the ball, but that's about it because the game is all about rolling the ball and picking things up. So there isn't very much to figure out. There are a couple face buttons, one that allows you to jump up in the air and look around your position, but that's about it for the controls. At the beginning here, and throughout the entire game, the king talks to you in just the most awkward and interesting manner. And you really need to read everything he says, because the way he speaks and says things is just out of this world. I mean, he is the king of all cosmos. Look how big he is. He's bigger than the Earth. And we're tiny for some reason as his son. Just don't look at his bulge, please. Here is our first level. We are a tiny 6-centimeter ball that must grow in size by only a little bit, and we can begin by picking up these small things on the table in this person's house. We can pick up small matches, thumbtacks, little blocks, batteries, eventually picking up slightly bigger things as we go along, but this one is very short. Obviously, the first level is going to have you only grow so far as opposed to something enormous or long later on. So this is a great place to just play around. You have plenty of time to get the actual size you need, and you can figure out what items you can start picking up. It becomes kind of clear as you go along what items you can pick up, mostly because the ball is bigger than them as you get closer. As long as the ball is about the size of or a little bit bigger than the item, you'll pick it up. Sometimes it's a little tough to tell, and it seems like some items provide more size to the ball than first meets the eye. Some things like cinder blocks seem to just add so much size to it that it was worth going to pick them up even if they were out of the way. So obviously, picking up specific objects helps you in the long run. There really aren't too many levels in the game. It took about 4 or 5 hours total to actually beat it. And of course, there are some more things you can work on. And I didn't really do that. Obviously, I'm trying to beat all the games, so I don't have time to. But overall, this game is very fun. It's super simple, and that's kind of the good thing about it. You don't have to sit here and figure out a bunch of crap. You can put the game on and just go. Watch your ball grow, get bigger things, until eventually the very last level has you picking up buildings and literal weather. You will pick up cyclones and clouds and hurricanes and shit like that. It's ridiculous. You'll be picking up the islands on Earth. You won't pick up all of them, but you'll pick up a lot of them because you need to make the moon, and to make the moon, you need to be big enough to actually create the star. There are also a few challenge levels, none so hard that I couldn't beat them the first time. This one was stop rolling your Katamari when you believe it has reached 10 meters big. And if you do it closer, you get a better star. Now, you're making the stars, but you're also making the constellations, and you'll get the option to make the constellations separate from the stars, but you must do all of them anyway. The constellations are the ones that have kind of some silly stuff, like the crabs. You got to pick up a bunch of crabs, and this one you have to roll till it's a certain height, and you don't know how big it is, you just have to guess. Is it big enough? Who knows? So those challenges aren't necessarily that tough. I think there might be some more challenges aside from these that you can do once you beat the game or just anytime you want, but none of them were actually necessary except for the constellations themselves. I 100% recommend this game to anyone who is wanting to play a casual, simple experience that is actually really fun. I mean, it seems novel, right? You're just rolling a ball around and picking things up. But let me tell you what, every time you do it, and you get bigger, you get to pick up more and more things, eventually you find yourself really enjoying trying to pick up the biggest things possible. When you complete a level, you don't actually have to stop until you are ready to stop, or the timer goes out completely. Meaning that if you get big enough to finish a level early, you can then make your star even bigger. Plus, this last level has you picking up enormous pieces of land eventually. Like I said, weather. I mean, that's crazy. It's just kind of a cool idea. Even if you only like one of the Katamari games, now there's quite a few, just play one, give it a chance, see if it's a type of game you like. At the very least, you'll like the one you played, because a lot of them are somewhat similar. You're always picking things up. There are new challenges and things to do, so you'll see some new things across the games, but one game by itself is totally worth trying to play. Even this very first game, which is really tight in its execution. I'm giving it an A on the tier list because there are still just like a couple things. I feel like I get stuck really easily on things, and it's hard for me to navigate around the small areas as I get bigger in some of the levels. The areas are a little too small for me to fit through properly, and I know that it's trying to funnel me towards a specific direction, maybe a new area that has bigger stuff. But if I'm caught behind something, I have to spend a bunch of time trying to get unstuck, and then it's a little annoying. And then some of the items you can eyeball to tell if you can pick them up, but you can't always exactly tell. And I believe through the later games it gets better. Obviously they get better at showing you what's about to happen. So once you learn what you can pick up, it makes it easier, but you'll find yourself sometimes going, why can't I pick this thing up? So it's not a bad deal, but it gets an A because it's just so much fun and anyone can play it. You can literally sit down a parent or a grandparent or someone who's never really played games and say, use these two sticks and just roll this ball around picking stuff up. It's just a fun romp through literal parks and areas of the earth with a small story that's whimsical and silly and ridiculous. And it's fun to sit down and play with someone else and read the things that you see and just take turns rolling around in a ball. I mean, you can't go wrong with rolling around in a ball and picking up buildings. Come on, man. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and end the video. I want to thank everyone who watched the short video for Katamari. It was just an easy game. It was a 4-hour game, and this game's already been covered to death. Why not go ahead and just end it here? So thank you so much, everyone who is in the stream watching, and thank you, Charlie, for requesting the game. I really appreciate it. This game is super fun. I played it a lot when I was younger, and it was good to play it again. And thank you to everyone who has become a member or donated to the channel. You're making this all possible, honestly. And that's it. Game number 123 beaten, Katamari Damacy. We'll be back soon with the next video. Later.